Hello, everyone, and welcome to another lovely episode with JayFx. And welcome to the episode 5 of our new support and resistance mentorship program. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you will know that I like to go into these models from a basic perspective into an advanced theory to in ways of understanding them. For example, the way we have been coming into this Malaysian SNR has been in a basic way that even if you're new to trading and you don't have any insights to rally-based rally, supply and demand, or to smart money concepts, you can easily pick up this method as a strategy, as a system, even if you don't know smart money concepts, even if you haven't been able to understand smart money concepts. So, on this particular episode, which is episode 5, we're getting into a particular topic which I like to call storyline, multiple time frames and storyline. If you're new to trading, you might not have, used multiple time frames before, but the term multiple time frames should not be difficult to you or new, since we all know that we trade from different time frames. We have from the monthly to the weekly to the daily, and these time frames helps us to understand what's going on using the chart. So there's a theory in the neo support and resistance, which is popularly known as the Malaysian style support and resistance. I like to call it the neo because the word neo means revived. These are just concepts that have been revived and refined from smart money and then used into a new system, which is now being called the Malaysian style support and resistance. So what I'm doing in these videos is decoding this Malaysian style into a new style of trading support and resistance. So everybody can be able to understand that it's not that complex to trade. You just have to understand few models coming from trend line to line chart and to what we now call storyline and key levels. So we're touching a key topic today, which we call storyline. And on this particular topic, it's going to deal with multiple time frame. Now, what is a storyline or what do we identify as a storyline? So a storyline is just like the name goes, storyline is showing you the storyline towards the trend on one time frame. So like I said, we're dealing with multiple time frames here. So currently we're on the monthly time frame. A storyline shows you what is going on this time frame and also tells you the potentials of what is going to be happening on a time frame below. So what we call storylines is basically key levels on multiple time frames and how these key levels react to each other. So let's say we have a monthly storyline. When I say the word monthly storyline, you're basically trying to understand that I'm trying to either identify a monthly support or a monthly resistance. Now, the storyline that goes about or the storyline that is being built around that support and resistance is now what we call the follow-up. That is what is likely to happen next or what is happening based on that particular, key level you have identified. This is basically the storyline of that particular time frame. And it's not really a right time to analyze the market. So what I'm going to do is that to avoid anybody using any of my predictions to trade the market, I'm just going to use an old chart, okay? Because for now, even I myself have not been trading, I've not been active in the market, and I've not actually been posting a lot of analysis because I've been trying to stay away from the chart as much as possible because there's a lot of tension right now. So I don't advise anybody to actually be trading in the market. That's why I do these mentorship programs to, refresh our memories and keep us busy, while the world is busy doing what the world, ought to do. So what I'm trying to teach you guys today, we will try to identify it from a higher time frame. So let's start from the monthly time frame, okay? So we're on gold. Since we're using past data, let's use the past data of gold to draw out the storyline of the price action. As you can see, the price action has been very, very messy. Not something I would want to study on. If you have watched my past videos, you will know that I recommend using corrective price actions for study because they give you price action you can actually predict. When the trend is active and there's momentum like this, there's nothing you can actually do. So you just have to follow the trend. So as you can see, gold has been very, very busy, bullish. So let's look at this correction data and look at the storyline being built, okay? Now, if you look at this price action, price created a high. Use the line chart. We can see the resistance here, okay? and the price broke structure here. We can see the big sharp bend here. As you can see, the rally base rally. See the idea I told you guys. If you use the candlestick from chart, we can see the formation. Then we see a sell to buy candle. So I would mark this as generally I will mark this as a resistance level. And if I'm using smart money concept, which obviously I will be using, because what I do with Malaysian SNR is a combination of smart money concepts and the Malaysian SNR principles. So I don't do anything different from what I would do naturally if I was actually just using smart money concept. So I would identify this as a key level. Obviously, it never got tested. This would be an early reaction. There was supposed to be a week, but there was no week. So that would be missed out. So what we would say is that the storyline being built from this time frame is that we had a monthly to monthly, but this did not get tested. So this would be called a monthly, that is a monthly area of interest to a monthly. Let's use the replay tool since we're using. Okay. So this would be a monthly to monthly storyline. So what we'll do on this study section is that we would actually go to the lower time frame and then pay attention to what happened within this price action and then see the key areas within this level on the lower time frame that price, invalidated just to clear out this monthly to monthly storyline. Okay. So let's go to the weekly time frame. And also, we have principles to what defines a storyline. And then we also have principles of how to identify a storyline from one time frame to another. So what I'm doing on this particular video is showing you how to identify storyline from one time frame to another. What defines a storyline might be the video for the next episode. I'll keep it short and simple so that we can be able to identify and follow up. Okay, so this is a monthly storyline. This will be a monthly area of interest, and this would also be a monthly area of interest. I would refine that to this. Okay, and then probably this would be a weekly storyline. This would be a weekly area of interest here. That would be what we have here would be a weekly support. Okay, you can see the formation there. If we use the line chart, we can see the bend. So that is our V formation there. So we have the weekly support. So price actually tested an area of interest. It just did not get to the monthly. So this was a monthly to weekly storyline. Now, on the weekly time frame, we would also identify key levels within the weekly zone. We have this support and also look into this area after this engulfing happened. And the engulfing pattern is one of the types of confirmation entries. When we get to confirmation entry, I will explain to you how you use the engulfing pattern for confirmation. So basically, if I was in this trade, I would be looking for entries. So this engulfing will be a very good area of interest. And then obviously we know that what happened was that price went bullish. Okay, so that would be a change of character. And then this would be a new resistance level. This would be what I would do. That was why I said let's use a price action that we can understand and play back rather than using a live chart that is happening with within a time that we have a lot of geopolitical pressure and tension in the world. So let's pay attention to what we have now. Now, if you look at the price action from the monthly, as we identify the monthly storyline, we're currently within a weekly storyline. So if we had this price action, this would be a weekly buy to sell. So obviously, and also another block as well are on a key level. Okay, that would be a key level based on market structure as well. If you look at the formation on, the price action. And then basically I'll be waiting for price to react from that zone. So we would have this, and this would be the weekly storyline. So going lower would be going to the daily storyline. And the more you keep going lower, the more you keep identifying the storylines from one time frame to another to try and understand what's going on. And if I was on this, or if I was in this, obviously I would be looking for a sell, and I would expect the next week to do a jump. And that would be what I would be looking out for. And then storylines are basically how the time frames play themselves with market structure. So if you were to look for the storyline from one time frame to another, all you're looking at is the price action from one time frame to another. So I'm going to keep it as simple as possible so it doesn't go complex or we don't get confused. What I'm doing, like I said earlier, is decoding the Malaysian SNR for you to understand it as well. I'm not doing anything new. I'm not teaching you anything new from what I have been teaching you in my channel on smart money concepts. If you have been following me, you would know a lot of what I've been teaching you here and what I'm actually teaching you here, and you will see the similarities with smart money concepts. It's not that different. But the difference is that these principles use different terms. So these terms help make them sound complex. When you move from multiple time frame to do your analysis on smart money concepts, it's the same thing as moving from a storyline to a storyline in the Malaysian style of trading. So they are similar, ideologies, but with different terms that makes things complex for you to understand. So I'm just decoding them for you so that you can also use the models like trendline and use other key methods for entries that are very, very essential and useful that are different. So we'll get to that on the future episodes. For now, this is what we have, and this is where we'll stop for tonight. I'll see you guys on the next episode where we talk about fresh and tested key levels. Bye.